Hello, BookTube. We're continuing with this library tour. We are in the romance section. So for those of you coming across this video maybe later on in the year or in future years, this is an only romance video. If you are not interested in romance novels, then this is not the video for you. And we are continuing with these old-fashioned Signet Regency romances. So we're just going to blast through these again. We've got a few more shelves of romances to go. So we have by Miranda Cameron, this is The Dissolute Duke. With one of these artistic covers. She's got her inside the home. We have Norma Lee Clark, The Perfect Match, another artistic cover. More architectural shenanigans in the background there, and more costume inaccuracy in the foreground. We have Carla Kelly. This is Miss Whittier Makes a List. Once again, it looks like a naval captain or a naval officer as the hero rather than a member of the landed gentry. We have a St. Patrick's Day themed Regency romance. This is by Melinda McCrae. This is The Lady Leprechaun. No shamrocks there. I'll wait. If that gets to 100, I'll stop the video. We have Dawn Lindsay, The Talisman. Moving away from artistic covers to photo covers. Here we have a completely photo cover. This is A Season for Love by Blair Bancroft. Get a load of the hair on him. No idea who that model is. We have Lord Glenraven's Return by Ann Barber. Oftentimes the Regencies will be set in libraries. They aren't anymore, but once upon a time they were. The one we saw that was The Lady and the Rogue, I think was the name of it. But the two people on the cover weren't paying attention to the books. We have The Captain's Dilemma by Gail Eastwood. They're in a barn. Let's see here. What is this next one stuck in here? We have Anita Mills' Newmarket Match. So horse racing will be involved. There's a stately pile in the background. And we have The Noble Imposter by Molly Ashton. Very sedate cover there. Lots and lots of wasted space. Let's keep going here. This is Lord Avery's Legacy. Oh, I remember this one. This is by Allison Lane. And your eyes are not deceiving you. Those are ostriches in the background. And at one point, of course, an ostrich is like Chekhov's loaded gun. You can't have an ostrich in the story without it being important somehow. Or the ostriches, they might be emus. And maybe the cover artist just didn't know the difference, as really, who does? But you know that in the course of the book, they're going to play a key role. And they do, because they can be very dangerous. And there's, believe it or not, a climactic, dangerous, edge-of-your-seat scene involving whether or not a character is going to get attacked and ripped apart by them. Then we have The Unscrupulous Uncle by Allison Lane. It's out in the woods there, no stately pile in evidence. We have A Bird in Hand by Allison Lane. Nice brown highlights there. You just have to, a lot of these older covers, you just have to wonder what's going on. There's no drama in the cover. It's an invitation for you to know more about the story. Then we have Allison Lane again. This is The Rake and the Wallflower. He was a very popular romance cover model for quite some time. Very popular. We have The Purloin Papers by Allison Lane. We've seen this one already, I believe. I'm going to have to make piles of these things to pick out all the duplicates. But this is a country house in the background there. Lots and lots of flowers. That model was also very popular. We have Duvall's Angel by Allison Lane. These are all Allison Lane novels. Angle slightly wrong there, but it's a full scene of action, which is rare for a Regency cover. We have A Clandestine Courtship by Allison Lane. There's a couple with a rustic cottage in the background there, and a pond, and a water wheel that isn't connected to any water. But you get the point, right? We have The Impoverished Viscount by Allison Lane. Pretty sure we've seen this one before already. Fancy dress ball there going on. And these have the guarantee that you have not read this before. Let's see here. Gail Buck. We have more Gail Buck. We saw a bunch of her in the last installment. This is The Demon Rake. Then Roberta Eckert. This is Lady Angel. Interesting cover. As you can see, a lot of these older covers would have something on the cover sort of mirroring or commenting on the action of the position of the two main characters. Here we have a painting in the background of lovers from a bygone era. Sometimes it's statues. We have My Lady Adventuress by Roberta Eckert. There's flowers crawling everywhere there. We have Scandal in Venice by Amanda McCabe. And that very popular, there's another very popular cover model in the background there. He is the gondolier. Ordinarily, in just a few years, he would never be a background character in a romance novel, although even in this one, his prominence signals a plot development. Let's just put it that way. Then we have Patricia Oliver, Daphne's Diary, a winter scene. Always interesting to see a winter scene. We have Lord Gresham's Lady by Patricia Oliver. This was really, really good. And has, once again, the certificate of freshness there. We have The Irish Upstart, Is There Any Other Kind? By Shirley Kennedy. With a thatched cottage. This probably takes place in Ireland. Haven't read it. We have A Temporary Betrothal by Dorothy Mack. Notice the fact that the man is old enough to be her father. That was very, very common in not only Regencies, but romances of any kind. We have Vanessa Gray. This is The Lady's Revenge. With that particular cover artist, I really should research who that is. It's very different, very distinctive. We have The Reckless Orphan by Vanessa Gray. Oftentimes not with a lot of text on the cover, but this one chooses to have some. We have The Dutiful Daughter by Vanessa Gray. Once again with a sundial. We've seen that a few times. We have The Innocent Deceiver by Vanessa Gray. And once again, we have a statue mirroring or lampooning the actions of the two characters. These are lovers from a bygone era. Those bygone eras just don't get covered. That's all. It's all in favor of the Regency. Then we have Vanessa Gray again. This is The Reckless Gambler. Inside the stately pile, so that you're not looking at it in the distance. We have A Lady of Property, by Vanessa Gray. Very nice arrangement there. This is, like I mentioned yesterday and the day before, this is a common thing in Regencies, is to give the woman what we would now call agency. Give her a solid source of income on her own without a husband so that she can make decisions for herself. The fact that so many readers really liked that variation, so that it isn't always just a penniless daughter or a debutante. The fact that so many readers like that was a sign of things to come. We have, this is Vanessa Gray again. This is The Wicked Guardian. Very stark and very blue. Let's just press on here. Oh, this is Mary Jo Putney, another author who went on to have major mainstream success. This is The Controversial Countess. This is a rather static cover, but this was fantastic. No idea if that's, I always want to look back and see, are there any dedicated old-style Signet Regency romance authors like Patricia Oliver or, what's another one that we saw? April Kilstrom. And then there are authors that we saw like Mary Balo or Mary Jo Putney who went on to have mainstream careers. And I always wonder, is there a bit of hindsight involved there in the fact that so many of their books seem so really good? Here we have Dorothy Mack, The Steadfast Heart. Again, he looks military, not landed gentry. We have The Unlikely Chaperone by Dorothy Mack. Pretty sure we've seen this one before. I really should go through these. There really isn't room, although I don't have many in the way of new Regency romances. We have, by Dorothy Mack, The Last Waltz. Again, a couple of military people on the cover there. We have The Unwavering Miss Winslow by Emma Lang, who has a lot of old-style Regency romances. There are a lot that we'll probably encounter here. We have The Irish Rake. Is There Any Other Kind? This is also by Emma Lang, or Emma Lange. We have Heart in Peril by Emma Lang. You have Curious Horses and a stately pile in the background. We have The Cost of Honor by Emma Lang with that distinctive cover artist, not the same as the ones that we've seen. Let's see here. We have Vanessa Gray. This is The Wayward Governess. She's holding a book, but they don't appear to be in a library. There's a globe there. Let's see here. They have The Errant Bridegroom by Vanessa Gray. Lovely, lovely cover there. And, the covers are really... these books are the ultimate palette cleanser for me. We have Vanessa Gray again. This is the Masked Heiress with a piece of artwork on the wall there. We have The Lost Legacy by Vanessa Gray. Stately pile in the background. Water fountain in the foreground. We have The Lonely Earl by Vanessa Gray. Curiously mistitled for the events of the novel, but terrific. Just a terrific novel. Haven't read, you'd think that if I'd read one of these things and really like it, I really liked The Lonely Earl, you'd think I'd just go through all of Vanessa Gray, but instead I store them up. If I read one Henriksen or Oliver or McCrae, I will often, if I really like it, I will often store it up and wait to read the others. Then we have Lord Aberley's Nemesis by Amanda Scott. And some of you who know the period really well, as I assume the artist did, will know what that is. That is a Regency-specific detail. We have Lady Hawk's Folly by Amanda Scott. Pretty sure we've seen that one before. We have The Bath Quadrille by Amanda Scott. Stately pile in the background. Statue in the foreground. And we're just going to keep blasting on here. We're at 11 minutes. We're going to try and go to 30 minutes and finish this shelf so that we can move on from here. We have Lady Jane's Ribbons by Sandra Heath. None of her ribbons are in evidence there, but that's all right. And once again, for you purists, I am piling these things on the floor, but I'm going to pick up after myself, and they will be neat on shelves before I move on to anything else. We have The Sherborne Sapphires by Sandra Heath. This one features a mischievous older relative who is playing matchmaker and has all the cards in his hands and whatnot. Sometimes that will be a man. Most of the time it's a woman, but always kind of delightful. Here we have The Opera Dancer by Sandra Heath. Have not read this one. A little bit longer than her usual. I'm kind of curious to see it. We have Smuggler's Daughter by Sandra Heath, which I know we have seen before. So I'm just going to toss that one aside. I know that's a double. We have Raquel's Widow by Sandra Heath, which I'm pretty sure we've seen before, but I'm not positive. We have A Matter of Duty by Sandra Heath. Is he also a naval man? Maybe not a lord? We have The Courting of Jenny Bright by Sandra Heath. Could swear this is a different time period. It doesn't seem right. I'm not going to pause to examine it, though, because we're trying to get through these things. We have The Absent Wife by Sandra Heath. Obviously a prolific Regency author. Let's see here. We have A Perfect Likeness by Sandra Heath. Quite nice, these covers. Although A Perfect Likeness sounds familiar, too. We have The Unwilling Heiress by Sandra Heath. See, this is what I mean. These ladies had regular, steady careers doing these things. Some of them brought out 12, 13, 14, 20 books. And appear never to have written anything else. And I would love to know the story behind that. I would love to know what the story behind the mechanism that made the Signet Regency romances. How's that for a niche subject? Here we have Sandra Heath again. This is The Pilfered Plume. She's wearing, or has a mask in her hand. We have Sandra Heath again. This is A Country Cotillion. Another winter scene. Snow everywhere. Devilish hard to keep those country piles heated in the winter. Most of the rooms were cut off in the wintertime. Here we have Sandra Heath. This is Camilla's Conscience. Some sort of pagoda in the background there. Let's see here. We have A Scandalous Publication by Sandra Heath. Probably she is the author of the scandalous publication. That's in a lot of these regencies. That is what the woman does to get into trouble. She writes an anonymous scandal sheet for the bon ton. Then we have Sandra Heath again. This is a commercial enterprise. I wonder if this will be almost her whole shelf of Sandra Heath. She's another one of these really prolific Regency authors. We have Lady Sabrina's Secret by Sandra Heath. Notice he is twice her age. That doesn't stay true. Tomorrow's shelf does not contain that age gap, to put it mildly. We have The Fawn's Folly by Sandra Heath. As you can tell from this cover, this is another rare example where a Regency romance has a supernatural element. Has a supernatural creature in it. We have Lord Buckingham's Bride by Sandra Heath. This was terrific. Absolutely terrific. And yet there are a bunch of Sandra Heath. Knowing that it's terrific, there are a bunch of her books that I haven't read. Then we have A Change of Fortune by Sandra Heath. Another winter scene. But this is sure a lot of these books. Good Lord. This is My Lady Domino by Sandra Heath. I probably found all of these in the same place at the same time. We have Easy Conquest by Sandra Heath. Just the horse as a witness there. We have Lord Kane's Keepsake by Sandra Heath. There's been a duel of honor, yes, and there's the other man being led away wounded. So that's a cover that is not static. It tells a story. Then we have Sandra Heath. This is A Christmas Courtship. Mentioned before that very early on, the Regency industry latched on to Christmas in a big way as a great combination. That's a very common thing. Then we have Emma Lang. Again, this is the Earl's Season. Once again, taking place in a library where all you bookish people out there want a better look at the books. You don't care about the romance. Then we have The Scottish Rebel by Emma Lang. And let's see here. Emma Lang again. This is The Unmanageable Miss Marlowe. Pretty sure we've seen this one before. We have, is this another Emma Lang? Yes, A Second Match. She's riding side saddle, but she's riding on his horse with him. So, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. We have Emma Lang again. This is A Certain Reputation. Flowers and a stately pile there as they're walking down the stairs. We have Emma Lang again, The Earl's Return. Looks like that's another winter scene in the background. But they are in a study. That window would be closed and heavily tarped over. We have Exeter's Daughter by Emma Lang. Out in the countryside, the White Cliffs of Dover. Very interesting. Let's see here. We have the Reforming of Lord Roth by Emma Lang. Another dance scene. Probably reforming a rake. That is a popular theme in these things. We have The Cost of Honor by Emma Lang, in a book that I'm certain we have seen before, so I will toss it over there. And this is that strange cover artist, right? You can tell these are not the same cover artists. This is getting a little bit closer to photoreality. Let's see here. Then we have The Irish Earl's Ruse. You know, it's Irish. Can't trust them. I don't know what's up to something. Let's see here. We have The Unsuitable Miss Martingale by Barbara Hazard. I'm going to see if I can avoid the trauma of throwing these things on the ground by putting them back on the shelf. We have A Surfeit of Suitors by Barbara Hazard. Rather nice cover there. That also is a popular gimmick in these old Regency romances, is to have a young woman who has too many suitors. And you're wondering the whole time who will win her. And almost always the author has a trick up her sleeve. Almost always it isn't going to be the person that you think. Then we have The Emerald Duchess by Barbara Hazard. I know that we have seen this before. I know that we have. Somewhere up here that has occurred before. We have Autumn Vows. He's surprising her at her mirror. Have a curtained bed in the background there. Let's see here. We'll be really gentle here. These are all Barbara Hazard. This is Lady Lochnavar, who might have Lanza titles on her own. Let's see. We have The Turnabout Twins by Barbara Hazard. Again, very rare instance where we have identical twins causing problems or motoring the plot along. That Regency authors usually avoid that. We have The Rake's Protege by Barbara Hazard. A very, very rare blonde hero on a Regency cover. We have The Disobedient Daughter. Once again, we have a painting, this one inside the cover of a piano, so that commenting on the action of the main scene. Let's see here. We have this is all still Barbara Hazard. This is a Cloisonne Locket. Once again, we have the bust of a baby and also portrait on the table there. Let's see here. We have The Calico Countess by Barbara Hazard, a very severe cover. This artist also is fairly distinctive. You can tell they have tons and tons of wasted space. Static, unused space. We've seen that artist a few times. We have The Enchanting Stranger by Barbara Hazard. Underneath a stone archway there that seems a little bit ruined. We have The Queen Bee by Barbara Hazard. Never mind the dress there. It's the thought that counts. We have A Novel Alliance by Ellen Fitzgerald. Could it be about a writer? Usually that's how that word is used, when it's used as an adjective. We have The Rogue's Bride by Ellen Fitzgerald. So we've moved on from Barbara Hazard to Ellen Fitzgerald. I think she has a lot of Regencies. This is Romany Summer, her most popular book, and by far its bestseller. This actually did well outside the normal category Regency world when it came out. We have Venetian Masquerade by Ellen Fitzgerald. It's this particular distinctive cover artist. And this is another a comparatively rare Regency romance that is set in Venice. Most of them like to be set in between London and the country. Then we have Rogue's Bride again Well, we don't need two of these, do we? No, we do not. So that's great. Ooh, making some room here. We have The Irish Heiress by Ellen Fitzgerald. Naturally, an Irish castle in the background. We have Lessons in Love, another winter scene, winter at sunset. We have Marriage by Decree by Ellen Fitzgerald. Again, a very distinctive cover artist. Let's see here. We have, The Irish Heiress. Again, we don't need a double of that. We do not need a double of anything. We have The Dangerous Dr. Langhorne. Interesting if he's not a nobleman. If he's actually a doctor, that would be very interesting. We have Lord Caliban, which I feel certain we have seen before, but I will leave it for now. I'm not 100% certain. But here we have a country scene there. Is that water in the background? No, that's the high wall of a garden in the background. Usually, to a degree, you would think would be amazing. A lot of times, the scenes in these books are mirrored in the book. It's almost like the artist is told, "Here, is this what I want you to paint?" I'm told by someone who knows what's in the book. And we have Ellen Fitzgerald again. This is The Forgotten Marriage. Storm Clouds Gathering there. We have The Gambler's Bride by Ellen Fitzgerald. Pretty sure we've seen that before as well, but I'm going to let it go. Unless I'm absolutely sure, I'm going to let it go. We have A Streak of Luck by Ellen Fitzgerald. This was terrific. Absolutely terrific. This is one of the only Ellen Fitzgeralds that I remember reading. We have The Heirs of Bel Air. This had a very promising opening, but did not really do it for me. We have An Unwelcome Alliance by Ellen Fitzgerald. Another dancing ball scene. This one apparently outside, and by that particular cover artist. We have The Fugitive Heiress by Amanda Scott. Rather staid cover there. We have The Indomitable Miss Harris. I know we have seen this before by Amanda Scott there. Evocative Twilight. I know that we have seen that before, but I'm going to leave it unless I'm 100% sure. We have Lady Mariel's Duty by Amanda Scott. Very pleasant combination there of photoreality and actual original artwork. We have Lady Escapade by Amanda Scott. Very, very static cover, but let's see here. We have Lord Greyfalcon's Reward by Amanda Scott. Again, that very distinctive cover artist. Going to have to find out who that is. And finally, we are done in well under 30 minutes. Lady Brittany's Choice. With artwork on the cover, the artwork behind them, a big painting that you can't really make it out. It's a rare instance where ordinarily these artists were told leave room for the header material. Don't put anything important there that's going to make the viewer of the cover think they're missing something. And that happened anyway here, so I guess there was no way to avoid it. Often I have to wonder, like I said, I wonder about the process of bringing these lines out, especially when it was original artwork like this. Did you have a main artist and did you have a backup ready? If they didn't deliver, two backups ready? You can't not run the thing. You have to have 4 of these a month. So what do you do with cover art, especially when it's not done by somebody at a computer? You know, like a lot of these photo things are. But anyway, that is the next shelf of romance, and with this shelf, we leave behind these old Regency romances. The Signet Regency romances that I love so well. With this shelf, we leave them behind. That is my whole collection. It's about 100 books. Maybe a little more. Could easily stand to have 300. Once upon a time, it was a kind of dream, not a goal, but a dream of mine to have this entire bookcase from floor to ceiling, all Signet Regency romances. I know there are enough of them to warrant it, but I never find them. The Brattle Bookshop is my main place to get secondhand books, and they don't deal in romance at all of any kind. And even if they did, they wouldn't deal in category romances, I'm sure. Most places don't. There are a couple of stores I know of that regularly get them, but I don't have access to those stores, and I'm certainly not going to get lots online. There are periodically Regency lots online on eBay, but they would be hugely duplicating what I already have. It would be, if the lot is, $14 for 30 books, you'd think, wow, you're making out. But if 25 of those books are copies of things I already have, and that's likely, then you're paying $30 for 5 books, which is not a deal. But anyway, that is the next library tour. I think we have probably 3 more romance-only videos to go, and then you got to get ready for whiplash, because we're going from romance to canonical classics. So that's the way this room is. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. But I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.